The Galactic Federation had existed for 47,000 years. That was a fact Ambassador Taloncore repeated often. Usually when newer species proposed changes to established protocols. 47,000 years of peace, maintained through careful diplomacy and mutual respect among 17 elder species. Humanity had been part of this ancient alliance for exactly 3 years. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood in the observation gallery of Federation's Central Station, watching ships from a dozen worlds drift past like luminous fish in an endless ocean. Each vessel represented centuries of technological evolution, graceful designs perfected over millennia. The human transport docked nearby looked crude by comparison, all sharp angles and visible engine ports. "They still see us as children," said Captain Marcus Webb, joining her at the viewport. He commanded the UNSS Vanguard, one of only 6 human vessels rated for deep space operations. "We are children," Sarah replied. "By their time scale, we discovered faster than light travel approximately 15 minutes ago." Marcus snorted. 15 minutes. And already they expect us to play by rules written before our ancestors learned to make fire. Sarah turned from the window. At 42, she was young for an ambassador, but Irv had learned quickly that dealing with species who measured lifespans in centuries required patience humanity hadn't traditionally possessed. The Federation kept the peace for 47,000 years, Marcus. Their rules work. Their rules work for them. He gestured toward the docked ships. The Zelfoni have 12 colony worlds. The Morgotti have 40. We have Earth, Mars, 3 barely habitable moons, and New Meridian. Sarah's expression tightened. The colony was why she'd called this meeting. "Have you reviewed the Krell's latest communications?" "I've read their demands." Marcus's jaw clenched. "They want us gone within 60 standard days. They claim the Epsilon Reach system has been their sovereign territory for 800 years. Their claim has historical basis," Sarah admitted. "The Krell Dominion did explore that region centuries ago, though they never established permanent settlements, because the planets were marginal at best. New Meridian took us 15 years to terraform. 12 million people live there now, farmers, engineers, families. We built something from nothing, and now the Krell want it because we made it valuable." Sarah had seen the reports. New Meridian's crystalline soil, once toxic, now produced crops with remarkable efficiency. The orbital refineries processed rare elements essential for advanced computing. What had been a barely habitable rock was now a jewel worth fighting for. "The Krell Empire isn't part of the Federation," Sarah said carefully. "They've remained independent, maintaining their own alliance network. They have 3 times our military strength and 40 times our territory. So we abandon our people. The Federation Council will convene tomorrow. We'll present our case, and if they side with the Krell," Sarah looked back at the stars, "then we'll face a difficult choice." The Federation Council chamber was an architectural marvel, a vast sphere, where representatives sat in 3-dimensional tiers, each delegation positioned according to seniority and tradition. Humanity occupied a lower section, recent rivals granted courtesy, but little influence. High Council Speaker Taloncore presided from the chamber's center, his crystalline form refracting light into rainbow patterns. The Zelfoni had been founding members of the Federation, their wisdom legendary, their patience infinite. The matter before us concerns territorial dispute between the Krell Dominion and the human delegation. Taloncor's voice resonated through translation devices. Ambassador Chen, you may present humanity's position. Sarah rose, aware of hundreds of eyes and equivalent sensory organs focusing on her. Honored speaker, esteemed council members, humanity does not dispute the Krell's historical claim to the Epsilon Reach system. We acknowledge their exploratory missions 8 centuries ago. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Several delegates shifted, surprised by her concession. However, Sarah continued, exploration does not equal colonization. The Krell visited Epsilon Reach and departed. They established no settlements, left no permanent presence. Under Federation law, unclaimed territories become available for colonization. After 500 standard years of abandonment, Federation law does not bind the Krell, stated Ambassador Vrix of the Morgotti. His serpentine form coiled in his delegation sphere. They rejected membership millennia ago. Then why do they bring this dispute to the Federation? Sarah countered. If they recognize no authority here, they should address us directly. They invoke Federation principles only when convenient. The Krell seek mediation, Taloncor said. A peaceful resolution. The Krell issued an ultimatum. Sarah corrected. Evacuation within 60 days or face military action. That's not mediation. That's coercion. 12 million humans, said Councillor Dresch of the Havenets, her voice gentle with what might have been sympathy. A significant population for your young species. But the Krell Dominion numbers 14 billion across 37 worlds. Surely relocation is preferable to conflict with such a power. Would the Havenets abandon 12 million of their people? Sarah asked. The Havenets would not have colonized disputed territory, Dresch replied. Not unkindly. We would have consulted historical records, verified claims, sought permission. Your species' haste has created this crisis. Sarah felt heat rising to her face. Our haste? We followed every protocol. We surveyed the system, found no competing claims, registered our intention with Federation authorities. We did everything correctly. You did everything legally. Taloncor agreed, but perhaps not wisely. The galaxy is old, Ambassador Chen. Maps are incomplete, claims are ancient, and powerful species have long memories. This is why caution serves better than speed. What would you have us do? Sarah demanded. We've offered to negotiate shared access. We've proposed resource-sharing agreements. We've suggested Federation arbitration. The Krell refuse all discussion. They want our colony, our work, our home. Then give it to them, Vrix said bluntly. Your species has much to learn about survival among the great powers. First lesson, choose your battles. The Krell cannot be defeated. They've existed for 30,000 years. They've conquered species more advanced than yours. They've destroyed civilizations for lesser offenses than occupying their territory. Is that what the Federation stands for? Sarah looked around the chamber. Submit to threats? Abandon our people because someone more powerful wants what we've built? The Federation stands for peace, Taloncor said. Sometimes peace requires sacrifice. Whose sacrifice? Sarah's voice carried across the vast chamber. Always the weak, always the young, always the newcomers who haven't earned the right to stand firm. Silence fell. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. This council cannot authorize military intervention against a non-member state, Talencor finally said. Nor can we compel the Krell to negotiate. We can only offer counsel. Avoid this conflict. Relocate your people. Build elsewhere. The galaxy is vast. One world is not worth the cost you will pay in opposing the Krell. Sarah stood motionless for a long moment. Then she bowed, the gesture precise and formal. Thank you for your time, honored speaker. Humanity will consider the council's wisdom. As she left the chamber, Marcus fell in beside her. That went well, he muttered. They're afraid, Sarah said. Every species in that room has been bullied by the Krell at some point. They remember, they submit, they survive. And us? Sarah's expression hardened. Schedule an emergency session with the Security Council on Earth. Encrypted channel. I need to speak with President Morrison directly. The Krell Dominion operated from a different philosophy than the Federation. Where the Federation valued consensus and patience, the Krell valued strength and expansion. Their empire had grown through conquest and intimidation, and they made no apologies for it. War leader Thrax commanded the Krell border fleet from his flagship Domination. He was massive even by Krell standards, 3 meters of scaled muscle, forearms ending in talons that could pierce ship armor, eyes like molten copper that saw into infrared and ultraviolet spectrums. The human delegation has departed Federation Station, his communications officer reported. And the Council's decision. No intervention. No support. The humans stand alone. Thrax's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. As expected, the Federation's species are cowards. They dress their fear in philosophy and call it wisdom. The humans requested 60 days for evacuation preparations. His officer continued. Should we grant the extension? No. Thrax leaned forward in his command throne. We gave them 60 days to evacuate. They used those days to plead with the Federation. Time's up. Send the final warning. They have 12 standard hours to begin evacuation. Or we commence operations. War leader. Our intelligence suggests the humans may resist. Thrax's laughter rumbled through the bridge. Resist? With what? 6 patrol ships? 12 million civilians? We have 300 warships in this fleet alone. We've destroyed species with 10 times their strength. Still, the humans are unpredictable. They are primitive, Thrax corrected. They achieved FTL travel barely a century ago. Their weapons are toys. Their shields are paper. This will not be a battle. It will be an extermination exercise, a lesson to other young species who think they can claim what the Krell desire. He gestured to the tactical display showing New Meridian. The colony whirls spinning peacefully in its sun's golden light. Transmit the final ultimatum. Then prepare the fleet for assault. We jump to Epsilon Reach in 10 hours. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UNSS Defiant, humanity's flagship and most advanced warship. Around her, the small human defense fleet maintained formation above New Meridian, 6 ships against 300. Final count confirmed, her tactical officer reported. The Krell fleet is massing at the border. 300 warships, including their flagship. They'll be in jump range within 9 hours. And Earth's response? Eleanor asked. President Morrison's message is coming through now. The holographic display activated, showing President Rachel Morrison sitting in the Situation Room deep beneath Geneva. Her face looked carved from stone. Commander Vasquez, the Security Council has reviewed all diplomatic options. The Federation will not intervene. Our allies advise surrender. The Krell will not negotiate. Morrison paused. I am authorizing Protocol Nightfall. Eleanor felt her heart skip. Madam President, are you certain? We will not abandon 12 million people. We will not surrender what we've built. But we also will not sacrifice your fleet in an unwinnable battle. Morrison's eyes were hard. All human vessels are ordered to retreat immediately. Fall back to Mars. Begin Protocol Nightfall. And New Meridian will be evacuated by civilian transports. We'll get as many out as we can in the time remaining. The rest, Morrison's voice cracked slightly. The rest we'll have to pray for. But Commander, hear me clearly. This is not surrender. This is not acceptance. This is tactical retreat while we prepare something the Krell, the Federation, and the galaxy have never seen. How long do we have? 18 months, maybe less. Project Nightfall requires complete secrecy and absolute commitment. Every resource humanity possesses will be dedicated to this effort. We're going dark, Eleanor. Total communications blackout. As far as the galaxy knows, humanity will simply vanish. Eleanor understood. She'd reviewed the Nightfall protocols during her command briefings. Theoretical plans for worst-case scenarios. She'd never imagined they'd actually be implemented. What if the Krell don't stop at New Meridian? She asked. What if they come for Earth? Morrison's smile was terrible. Then they'll find nothing but empty cities and silent stations. We'll be deep underground, building what we need. Let them think they've won. Let them think they've broken us. Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. Let them get comfortable. And then, Eleanor, we'll show them what happens when you corner humanity and think we'll just lie down and die. The transmission ended. Eleanor turned to her crew. All ships, prepare for immediate retreat. Notify the civilian evacuation fleet. They have 9 hours to get as many people off planet as possible. After that, we abandon New Meridian to the Krell. Commander, her weapons officer said quietly. There are 12 million people down there. We can't evacuate everyone in 9 hours. I know. We're just leaving them. Eleanor's hands gripped the command rail until her knuckles whitened. No, we're falling back to prepare. But Lieutenant, I promise you this. Every person left behind, every life the Krell take, every drop of blood spilled on New Meridian will be paid back 1,000-fold. We're not surrendering. We're getting out of the way. Out of the way of what? Eleanor looked at the planet below, at the cities and farms and millions of lives that would soon face the Krell assault. Out of the way of what's coming. The galaxy thinks humanity is weak. The Krell think we're primitives. Everyone thinks we'll break and scatter like every other young species they've crushed. She turned to face her bridge crew. They're all about to learn they're wrong. Dead wrong. Now plot jump coordinates for Mars. We have work to do. 8 hours and 47 minutes later, the Krell fleet emerged above New Meridian. Thrax surveyed the planet on his displays. The human ships were gone fled, as expected. Orbital platforms stood empty. The planet's defenses were minimal, civilian-grade. Pathetic, he muttered. They ran without even a token resistance. War leader, we're detecting evacuation ships still in orbit. Civilian transports. How many refugees? Perhaps 3 million aboard the transports. The rest remain on the surface, Thrax considered. Open a channel to the planet. Below, in New Meridian's capital city of New Hope. Governor Marcus Chen received the transmission. His hands shook as Thrax's massive form filled the screen. Human Governor, your military has abandoned you. Your Federation allies have forsaken you. You have one final chance. Unconditional surrender. Acknowledge Krell's sovereignty. Pay tribute. Serve the Dominion. Or be destroyed. Marcus thought of his daughter, safely aboard one of the evacuation ships. He thought of the 9 million people who hadn't made it off planet in time. He thought of President Morrison's last message. Stay strong. Help is coming. We will not forget. I hear your offer, Marcus said carefully. I ask for time to consult with my people. 12 hours to organize a response. Thrax's mandibles clicked. You have 1 hour. Then I begin bombardment. The transmission cut. Marcus immediately activated the colony's emergency broadcast system. All citizens, this is Governor Chen. Begin emergency shelter protocols immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat. This is not a drill. Get underground. Get to the bunkers. You have 1 hour. Across New Meridian, 9 million people began to move. 58 minutes later, Thrax gave the order. All ships, commence bombardment. Target population centers. I want this world burned clean in 6 hours. 300 Krell warships opened fire. The orbital bombardment was methodical and merciless. Energy weapons designed to crack planetary crusts rained down on cities, farms, infrastructure. New Hope, the capital, disappeared in the first volley. Smaller settlements followed. The agricultural zones burned. Thrax watched the destruction with satisfaction. This was what happened to species who defied the Krell. This was the lesson the galaxy needed to remember. By the time the bombardment ceased 6 hours later, New Meridian's surface was scorched black. 90% of the colony's infrastructure was destroyed. Casualty estimates were catastrophic. Scan for survivors, Thrax ordered. Detecting life signs in deep shelters, perhaps. 2 million. Maybe less. 2 million out of 9 million left behind. Acceptable losses for a subjugation campaign. Transmit our victory to the Dominion homeworld. Inform them the human problem in Epsilon Reach has been solved. Leave a garrison fleet of 50 ships to manage the survivors. The rest of the fleet returns to base as the Krell fleet departed. They broadcast footage of New Meridian's destruction throughout the local sector. A warning, a lesson, a reminder of what the strong did to the weak. The Federation's species watched in somber silence. More human lives lost to Krell aggression. Tragic, but not unexpected. The price of challenging an elder power and humanity? Humanity went silent. All transmissions from Earth ceased. All human ships disappeared from trade routes. All diplomatic channels closed. It was as if the species had simply vanished from the galaxy. The Federation assumed grief, shock, perhaps the collapse of their young government. The Krell assumed victory and moved on to other concerns. No one suspected the truth. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in facilities that had taken decades to construct, humanity was building something new, something terrible, something the galaxy had never seen. The countdown to protocol nightfall had begun. 18 months. Then the galaxy would learn what happened when you thought humanity would simply accept defeat. 18 months until Earth's retaliation began. And when it came, the silence would shatter into thunder. 18 months earlier, Earth, 72 hours after the New Meridian massacred, James Chen stood in what had once been a particle physics laboratory beneath CERN. Now it was Command Center Alpha for Project Nightfall, the most ambitious and desperate scientific endeavor in human history. Around him, holographic displays showed data streams that would have been impossible 6 months ago theoretical. Physics pushed past breaking points, engineering solutions that shouldn't exist. "Show me the quantum cascade results again," he said, rubbing eyes that hadn't seen sleep in 36 hours. His lead researcher, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, pulled up the simulation. Third test was successful. We achieved stable cascade propagation for 4.7 seconds before collapse. We need 20 seconds minimum for weapon deployment. I know, but James, look at what we're doing here. Yuki's voice carried equal parts wonder and horror. We're not just bending physics. We're breaking it. Rewriting fundamental constants of the universe in localized space-time bubbles. James looked at the data. Quantum cascade technology exploited a theoretical loophole they'd discovered, while trying to improve FTL efficiency by creating overlapping quantum probability fields. They could force matter to exist in multiple states simultaneously, then collapse those states in ways that released energy that shouldn't exist according to conventional physics. The first successful test had vaporized the testing chamber and killed 3 researchers. The third test had been controlled. Progress. How many people did we lose on New Meridian? James asked quietly. Yuki's expression tightened. Last count was 7 million confirmed dead, 2 million in shelters, most injured. The Krell garrison is preventing rescue operations. 7 million. James closed his eyes. His brother Marcus had been New Meridian's governor. He'd made it to an evacuation ship, but his wife hadn't. Their 2 children were orphaned. "Show me the weapon design again." Yuki hesitated. "James, are you sure about this? What we're building, it's not just a weapon. It's a fundamental violation of everything we thought possible. If we're wrong about the containment protocols, if we're wrong, we die trying. If we do nothing, we die anyway. The Krell won't stop at New Meridian. You saw the intelligence reports. They're already discussing which human colony to hit next." James pulled up schematics on the main display. "We have 18 months, maybe less. In that time, we need to build a fleet capable of defeating 300 Krell warships, each one individually more powerful than our best ship. Impossible odds. Yes, so we changed the rules." James pointed to the cascade weapon design. "Conventional weapons. The Krell have better, stronger shields. They've had millennia to perfect defensive systems. Bigger ships. We don't have the resources or time. His finger traced the quantum cascade emitter specifications. But this is something new. Something they've never seen. Something they can't defend against because it operates outside conventional physics. It's also untested at scale. We don't know if it will work on a capital ship platform. We don't know if the cascade effect will remain stable in combat conditions. We don't even know if firing one won't accidentally create a chain reaction. That destroys our own fleet. Then we test. We iterate. We solve the problems. James turned to face her fully. Yuki, I need you with me on this. I need your expertise, your calculations, your willingness to push beyond what's safe. Can you do that? Yuki looked at the weapon schematics, at the theoretical death machine they were designing. She thought about her sister, who'd been visiting New Meridian on a research exchange. Her sister's last message had been a desperate plea for help that never came. Yes, she said finally, let's build something terrible. 12 months before the counterstrike, Mars. Olympusman shipyard's Commander Elena Vasquez walked through the construction bay, carved deep inside Mars's largest volcano. The scale was staggering, a cavity 5 kilometers long, too wide, tall enough to accommodate the largest ships humanity had ever conceived. Except the ships being built here didn't follow any design humanity had used before. The Ghost Fleet, said Admiral Catherine Rodriguez, falling into step beside Eleanor. That's what they're calling them. Eleanor studied the nearest vessel. It was smaller than a Krell battle cruiser, barely 400 meters compared to their 1,000-meter behemoths. But every line was aggressive, predatory. No wasted space, no decorative elements. Pure function, hull composition. Eleanor asked, quantum-locked metamaterial absorbs sensor radiation instead of reflecting it. To conventional detection, these ships will barely register. Combined with the quantum displacement drives, we can literally appear and disappear at will. And the weapons? Rodriguez's expression darkened. Walk with me. They descended to a lower level, where a single cascade cannon was being mounted on a test platform. The weapon looked deceptively simple, a cylindrical emitter, cooling systems, power feeds. Nothing that suggested the devastation it could cause. Dr. Chen's team cracked stable cascade propagation 3 months ago, Rodriguez explained. The weapon creates a quantum probability field that forces matter into superposition, then collapses it catastrophically. The target doesn't just get destroyed, it temporarily ceases to follow normal physics. And then it tears itself apart from the inside. The cascade effect propagates through the target structure, unmakes molecular bonds, and releases the energy equivalent of a fusion bomb. But focused, directed. No radiation scatter, no collateral effect beyond the target. Eleanor stared at the weapon. How many shots can one ship fire? Current power systems support 6 shots before requiring a 3-minute recharge cycle. But Eleanor, 1 shot is enough. We've run simulations against Krell capital ships. 1 cascade hit penetrates their shields, ignores their armor, and destroys them in approximately 4 seconds. 1 shot, 1 kill. Against anything in the known galaxy. Yes, Eleanor did the math. The Ghost Fleet was being constructed at multiple sites: Mars, Earth's moon, asteroid facilities in the belt, hidden stations in the outer system. Current count: 300 ships under construction. 300 ships, each carrying multiple cascade weapons, against a Krell dominion that had no idea such technology existed. When will the first squadron be operational? Eleanor asked. 60 days. We'll have 50 ships ready. Not the full fleet, but enough for initial operations. Initial operations against what target? Rodriguez pulled up a holographic star map. Red markers indicated Krell military installations, shipyards, command centers. We're not going after their frontier worlds. We're going straight for their infrastructure. Military targets only. We're not the Krell, but we're going to cripple their ability to wage war so completely they'll spend the next century just rebuilding. Eleanor studied the targets. Bold, brutal, exactly what was needed. I want command of the first strike wing, she said. You'll have it. President Morrison specifically requested you lead the operation. But Eleanor, you need to understand what we're asking. This isn't defense. This isn't even retaliation. This is a preemptive strike to break the Krell so completely they'll never threaten us again. After what they did to New Meridian, you think I have moral qualms? I think we all do. Or we should. Rodriguez looked at the cascade weapon. We're becoming something new. Something the galaxy hasn't seen. Humanity was supposed to be the hopeful species, the ones who believed in peace and cooperation. Now we're building weapons that violate physics and planning military operations. That would make the old warmongers look restrained. The galaxy taught us this lesson, Eleanor said coldly. They watched New Meridian burn. They advised surrender. They offered sympathy but no help. So we learned. In this universe, you survive by being strong enough that no one dares attack you. We're not just building weapons, Catherine. We're building deterrence. Deterrence soaked in Krell blood. Yes, and I'll sleep fine at night knowing that blood bought safety for every human who comes after us. Eleanor turned toward the exit. Notify me when the first ships are ready for trials. I want to personally test every system before we go operational. As she left, Rodriguez stared at the cascade weapon and wondered if Eleanor was right. If this was just deterrence and survival, or if they were creating something that would haunt humanity for generations. 6 months before the counter-strike, Earth, Geneva Command Bunker President Rachel Morrison reviewed casualty projections. With her military staff, the numbers were sobering. Best-case scenario, General Patrick Okonkwo reported. We achieve complete surprise, destroy 90% of Krell military infrastructure, and withdraw before they can mount a coordinated response. Estimated human losses, 15 to 20 ships, approximately 12,000 personnel. Worst case, the Krell detect us early, we get drawn into sustained combat, and we lose up to 40% of the Ghost Fleet before achieving objectives. Casualties could exceed 100,000. Morrison absorbed that. 100,000 dead to avenge 7 million. The mathematics of war. And if we do nothing, she asked, the Krell attack another colony within 8 months. Intelligence suggests they're planning a systematic campaign to drive humanity back to Earth. They want to establish dominance, make us a client state, or destroy us entirely. Projected casualties over the next decade, minimum 50 million. So we hit them first. We hit them first. We hit them hard, and we make damn sure they never want to hit us again. Morrison stood, walking to the wall display showing Earth. The planet looked peaceful from orbit, blue and green and beautiful. Beneath that surface, 10 billion people were holding their breath, waiting to see if humanity's gamble would pay off. "I'm authorizing Operation Nightfall," she said. "Launch date in 6 months. Commander Vasquez will lead the first strike wing. Admiral Rodriguez will coordinate fleet operations. Dr. Chen's technology is cleared for full-scale deployment." She turned to face her staff. "But understand this. We're crossing a line. The galaxy thinks of us as young, idealistic, maybe naive. After this operation, they'll think of us as something else, something dangerous. We need to be okay with that. Are you okay with it, Madam President?" asked her Chief of Staff. Morrison thought about New Meridian. About 7 million dead because humanity was too weak to defend them. About the Federation's species who counseled surrender instead of support. About the Krell who thought they could massacre humans without consequence. "I'm okay with survival," she said. "Everything else is negotiable." 3 months before the counterstrike, Uns Phantom, Earth Orbital Elena Vasquez sat in the captain's chair of humanity's first operational Ghost-class warship. Around her, the bridge hummed with quiet efficiency, no wasted movement, no unnecessary chatter. Her crew knew what was coming. They'd trained in simulation for months. Now they were ready for the real thing. "All systems green," reported Lieutenant Sarah Park, her tactical officer. "Cascade weapons at full charge. Quantum displacement drive online. Stealth systems engaged." Eleanor pulled up the tactical display. 50 Ghost-class ships hung in formation around Earth, invisible to conventional sensors. The entire fleet had arrived from their secret construction sites over the past week, gathering for final pre-deployment exercises. "This is Phantom Leader to Ghost Fleet." Eleanor transmitted on encrypted channels. "Weapons free drill. Pattern Delta. Engage holographic targets on my mark." Holographic projections of Krell battlecruisers appeared throughout the formation, courtesy of the most sophisticated training system ever devised. The simulations were based on every scrap of intelligence humanity had gathered on Krell vessels, down to shield modulation frequencies and armor composition. Mark 50 ships moved as one. The coordination was beautiful, deadly, each vessel finding position, locking targets, firing in perfect sequence. Simulated Cascade weapons struck simulated Krell ships. The holographic vessels exploded in cascading energy releases that matched real-world testing data. Engagement time: 47 seconds. 50 targets destroyed. 0 friendly casualties. "Jesus," whispered Lieutenant Park. "Sir, if this is accurate, it's accurate," Eleanor confirmed. "We've run this drill 100 times. The Krell have never faced coordinated cascade weapon fire. Their tactics assume conventional warfare shields, armor, numerical advantage. Against quantum cascade technology, All of that is worthless. They'll adapt eventually. Eventually, yes, which is why we're not giving them time to adapt. We hit fast, we hit completely, and we break them so badly they won't be capable of adapting. Eleanor pulled up the operational timeline. 3 months until launch. 3 months for final preparations, intelligence updates, crew training. 3 months until humanity went from hiding in fear to striking back with overwhelming force. Lieutenant Park, schedule Cascade weapons certification for all crew. I want every gunner to be able to hit a target at maximum effective range, with 95% accuracy or better. That's a high standard, sir. It needs to be. We're not going to get a second chance at this. When we hit the Krell, it has to be perfect, overwhelming, so devastating they never even think about retaliating. And if they do retaliate? Eleanor's smile was cold. Then we've built 300 ships. They've seen what 50 can do. Imagine what 300 could accomplish. 1 month before the counterstrike, Krell Dominion Space. Border Station Tharax were leader Thrax reviewed reports from occupied New Meridian with satisfaction. The human survivors had been subdued, put to work in mining operations. The planet was producing resources for the Dominion, now a productive conquest. Any word from the human government? He asked his intelligence officer. Nothing. War leader. Earth remains silent. No diplomatic communications. No trade activity. No ship movements outside their immediate system. It's as if they've withdrawn entirely from galactic affairs. Broken, Thrax concluded. As expected, young species lack resilience. One significant defeat, and they collapse inward. Should we press the advantage? The Strategic Council suggests a follow-up strike against Mars. Thrax considered. Mars was humanity's second major colony, home to approximately 1 billion. Taking it would essentially end humanity as a spacefaring species, reducing them to Earth alone. Not yet, he decided. Let them stew in their defeat. Let them realize the futility of resisting the Dominion. In 6 months, we'll present terms, client state status, resource tribute, military restrictions. They'll accept because they'll have no choice. And if they refuse, then we do to Earth what we did to New Meridian. But I doubt it will come to that. Humans are emotional, impulsive creatures. But they're not stupid. They'll see reason. Thrax turned back to his displays, already thinking about the next expansion target. The human problem was solved. Time to move on. He never noticed the ship that appeared for 3 seconds at the edge of his sensor range, collected detailed scans of the station's defenses, and disappeared again before any alarm could sound. The Ghost Fleet was gathering intelligence, learning patterns, identifying targets. The countdown was almost complete. Launch day. UNSS Phantom. Mars departure orbit. Elena stood on her bridge, looking at the view screen showing Earth in the distance. Home, the planet that had been pushed to the edge of extinction and responded by building something unprecedented. Ghost. Fleet reports all ships ready. Lieutenant Park reported. We have 50 vessels prepared for Operation Nightfall Phase 1. Another 80 ships will be ready within 2 months for Phase 2 operations. Phase 2 won't be necessary if Phase 1 succeeds, Eleanor said. Status on quantum displacement drives. All systems optimal. We can jump to Krell space and back without detection. Cascade weapons? Fully charged. We have 60 shots per ship before requiring a 12-hour recharge cycle. More than enough for the target list. Eleanor pulled up the operational plan one final time. 12 Krell military shipyards. 8 major fleet bases. 4 command centers. All identified. All mapped. All scheduled for simultaneous destruction in a coordinated strike that would last less than 90 minutes. 90 minutes to cripple an empire. All ships. This is Phantom Leader, Eleanor transmitted. We all know why we're here. 7 million humans died on New Meridian. 2 million more live as slaves under Krell occupation. The galaxy watched and did nothing. The Federation counseled surrender. The Krell thought they could massacre us without consequence. She paused, letting her words sink in across 50 ships. Today, we teach them they were wrong. Today, we show the galaxy what happens when you think humanity will just accept defeat. We're not seeking conquest. We're not trying to build an empire. We're delivering justice. And we're making damn sure the Krell never threaten human lives again. Another pause. All ships. Engage quantum displacement drives. Target coordinates locked. Jump in 60 seconds. And remember, no civilian targets. No unnecessary casualties. We're better than the Krell. We're going to prove it by defeating them while holding ourselves to higher standards than they ever imagined. The countdown began. 50 ships powered their reality-breaking drives, preparing to fold space and appear deep in enemy territory. 10 seconds. Lieutenant Park announced. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump. Reality twisted. Space folded. 50 ships vanished from Mars' orbit and reappeared 300 light-years away, scattered across a dozen Krell military installations. The Krell had been expecting another quiet day. They were about to experience the worst. 90 minutes in their 30,000-year history. The Ghost Fleet had arrived. Earth's retaliation had begun, and the galaxy was about to learn a new truth. Humanity might be young, might be small, might be new to the stars. But humanity did not forgive, did not forget, and did not lose twice. The long night of hiding and building was over. Now came the storm.